Uh, so, should I do a bit of a review first, or in case you have any thoughts or questions or anything, we can start with that. Huh? Are you muted? Ah, you're muted.
I said, I was just thinking about it. It's becoming more like information coming, but no answers. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get information and you want to apply it to small, small things. And so you need back and forth a little bit more. But
Yeah.
that much back and forth you can't do in the class. It's not worth it even.
What
I
that
have
much?
to, in the class, we can't do that. No, we can't, don't want to do that in the class.
Huh. We can discuss it maybe on on the group. Maybe on the group we can discuss it, or separately we can hold a session or something like that, so that the recording can go forward and we can also.
It's not so much when I'm reading or hearing or something. It's more than in day-to-day life. It comes up and then you get that barrier comes and so how the hell do I break this barrier? This wall of so
Yeah, actually, I think what's happening right now is broadly the desirable or the goals are being defined, and
that's the
how
thing.
to get there is not yet been covered as much. अभी तो
No,
यही
not
होता है.
me.
I think for me also in the introductory workshops, often earlier I used to feel like, okay, the answer to everything is understanding, and understanding will solve this, and we have to need to do this also. We need understanding, to do that also. We need understanding. But what is this understanding?
And how to
what
become to
how,
understanding.
yeah. So yeah, that's what happens because this is an introductory thing. It's basically saying, look, these are the things you need to understand, and this is relevant to understand because this is the goal. This is relevant to understand because that is the goal. It's like laying out the syllabus. But then to actually understand it and study it,
Yeah, apply it. Actually, to apply it, because
to
then
apply
I
it, you need to then study it. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
to apply it, because you understand, you say, okay, but so many things come up, things that you feel that's not practical to be that way. It's not, unless everybody around is also like that, then one can understand.
Yeah, I think first what we need to just decide within ourselves is what is desirable, and then we can work towards how to reach that desirable. And that's how I go about it. Okay, is this desirable? Is that desirable? Okay, if this is desirable, then I'll inquire and explore. Okay, how
But something is
then
desirable is not available, no?
that is something that has to be put under inquiry. Is it actually available? First, we need to know at least what we think is desirable. ये goal लायक भी है कि नहीं? Say for
I
instance, a
mean,
lot of times we are told कि compromise कर लेना होता है, या फिर we might just have
accept.
to, yeah. So, but then we have to check within ourselves. Okay, am I actually satisfied with that? Is that actually okay enough for me? And based on that, then we can plan whether we want to inquire into that option or search for some other option.
It's more like the chances of life. No? Life also has its own offering. And sometimes you want something, it's not coming your way, or for whatever reason, that thing will happen. Huh? And it may not be anything material, it may be something else.
Can you elaborate? I didn't quite get the reference.
I want a perfect help at home. I'm talking of one of the not so, I want a perfect, like I have had some, any one of those ones which I had when I was in Delhi or whatever. One of those would be good. But if I don't have them, maybe I have to train them. Maybe it'll happen. It'll take time. So right now I don't have. And there are so many points that I know that I'm not happy with. And I'm sure they're also not happy with some of my points. Naturally, it works both ways. So how do you reach that situation then?
Right.
I'm in my hands, huh? To get a person who, like the guy who works for me, he's quite good. I mean, I wouldn't like to let him go, but he's so loud. Even if he wants to talk to you, if you're 1 foot away, it's so loud you can hear it in the lawn.
Right, right.
And I keep telling him, volume come, volume, volume. Even that he reduces volume and he says it so loudly. मेरी आवाज ही ऐसी है. And even that is so loud. Like he seems to not even get it. Maybe some voices are like that. I
Okay.
don't know.
Of course, there are all sorts of voices, but then balance out between that situation. What could be the solution there? What could be the balance there? And how
There
that could be
can't be
figured out.
any. There is no balance there. No, he's willing to. If over the months, a year time, he tones down his voice. He can hear everybody now. How's my house so quiet? So his voice comes out really loud, like a bomb, bomb, bomb. Even my dog barks softly.
Yeah. Yeah, these are the kind of things that we need to figure out. I mean, this and other sorts of things between people that we need to, that when we have resolution, we'll be able to, when we understand the needs of the other, my own needs, and what are the principles of behavior, then we'll be able to solve these. We'll be able to find solutions.
I don't know if you can. I really don't know if you can. He's not going to talk softly, and I can't. I'll have to just try and get used to it. Or this tug of war will keep on going, talk softly, and he'll continue talking loudly. It'll carry on like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess for me, the thing to think about is what is satisfying to me. If it is satisfying that there is no solution, then of course there's no need to search further. But if
It's
I
not
feel like
satisfying, and yet it is not there.
yeah, so that is a dilemma that one needs to explore for oneself. Am I ever satisfied when I'm not satisfied?
It's just somehow you have to live with it. How you live with it, it depends on your mood. Sometimes you're in a good mood, you say, okay, fine. Sometimes not in a good mood, you say, what the hell, his voice is getting on my nerves. No, I don't think I think a little bit idealistic this Jeevan Vidya sounds, because it seems as a solution for everything.
Yeah,
And,
that is
but
basically
it's
it.
not.
Ki samadhan hai, there is resolution. That is the
No, but
proposal.
that is either a long way or it's not there, or not many things will get sorted, but there'll be still many things that won't, that don't seem to be sorting, because so much time has also passed. No.
Of course, but we have also not done the work necessary to solve the problem. So if we were solving the problem, then of course we would make a headway. But if a lot of time is passing and we're busy doing something else, putting our energies elsewhere, then we'll make headway wherever we are putting our energies. If we are looking for a solution only, then will we make headway in the solution.
Sometimes the solution, especially if it's with another person, doesn't really happen your way, because other person is not in a mood to solve. Says clearly, but yeah, I'm not in a mood. I'm okay the way it is. Yeah.
So that is what how do we go about solving problems with others? This is what here I remember what was said was, if someone is committing a mistake or even a crime, the principle behind it is because they don't understand. So the solution will also be if you want to solve any problem among humans in the long run, the solution will always be that we all need to understand. We need to have a society based on understanding.
We all may need
ourselves.
to. That's again it's going some other location, may. We all need to, we should do this, we can do that. Without sermonizing, there's a sermon. But actually, it's not like that, no? Because we need to be, I know, I wish I could do everything right. And I wish everyone I knew did everything right. But it is not happening. So in this, how to live happily is my issue.
So without the solution, we cannot have the solution. So either we look for the solution, or we say, okay, there is no possibility of a solution, and accept the situation as it is.
And when it's not easy to accept.
Yeah, because that never satisfies us. Even if we say that we accept it, we actually don't, and we keep looking for this or that sort of relief.
Then what? Then what should one do?
Well, to me, what makes sense is that if we are not going to be satisfied without a solution, might as well put concerted efforts behind finding a solution.
And you can only do so much.
Try relief pathways.
You can't, because somehow you're brought up in a way you can't go, fighting with a person or just throwing your weight around. Even that may not work,
Of
even if you
course,
did that.
because
Even that won't work.
that doesn't solve the problem. Exactly. That's not the solution.
So there is no solution. No, I mean, in a human's brain, there is no solution.
That is not where this is coming from, and that is not how I accept it, because I found solutions in the areas that I've been able to understand. Yeah.
Maybe my thought is that it happens in math sometimes that there is a solution, but you're not able to reach it. And you have to accept and live with it for some time. And sometimes solution comes, sometimes it doesn't. Even there are mathematical problems which take 20, 30 years for mathematicians to solve, and they live with that problem every day for 20, 30 years. But that doesn't mean solution doesn't exist. That just means they are not able to reach the solution as of now. And there are even problems where no one has found the solution, but still solution exists. So it's either we say that we want to be on that path of finding solution, and maybe someday it will occur, someday it might not occur in our lifetime, or we accept that we are not interested only in this path to keep finding one solution to it, let the problem be, and turn our eyes. So I think those are the two approaches which are there, because even if solution exists, it doesn't exist for us till we found it. So it's a choice is whether I want to walk on that path to find the solution, or it's not important enough problem for me to keep striving to find a solution, and I will live with this dissatisfaction that this is one piece I haven't figured out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very nice analogy, actually. Quite exactly the case. So, on Manji, anything? I think,
No, I'll give it a pass.
okay. Okay. So, Prati, anything before we start?
So, Dishta, this conversation started based on yesterday's video, which I missed. Okay. Did you summarize
Yeah,
already what happened
not
here?
yet, not yet. So yeah, this started because Manji was saying that it feels like a lot of information has been coming in, but answers are not coming. So we were discussing how actually right now in the introduction, it's basically talking about goals and desirables. So it's like, okay, what is our goal? What do we actually think is desirable? That is being laid out. And then how do we get to it? It is saying again and again, to get to those desirable goals, we need to understand. And what do we need to understand? We need to understand this, that, and the other, the Jeevan existence and humane conduct. But what exactly that understanding is has not yet been opened up fully. So it can seem like, we're seeing the desirables again and again, but the content of how to reach the desirables is opening slowly and slowly, because this is, of course, an introduction. Of course, the Jeevan has actually begun to be opened a bit, but what exactly is its relevance in understanding everyday things, that will come about even more gradually. So that's where this has started from.
So this is entire is Parichay, the 16 session overall, our JV Parichay. And then I thought this is like complete lecture which Baba gave. No.
No, so this is him taking an introductory workshop. Jeevan Vidya An Parichay. So Jeevan Vidya An Introduction.
So then he has done detailed workshops also, like how people do Adhyan now.
Yeah, he wrote the books and then he would sit and talk to people. They would read the books and discuss it with him. He has also done lengthy workshops on other specific topics. So those recordings are also available. But for the in-depth study or Adhyan, for that, primarily he's written this entire literature for anyone to study it properly. So to just review what we had done yesterday, we had moved on to the next activity of the Jeevan, which is both or comprehension. And he had talked about how one goes about, so how he understood all this knowledge, how he received all this knowledge was through the exploration method, the Anusandhan method. And that is how he got it. But now how everyone else will get it will be through the study method. And the study method is based on perseverance of the students. So actually the words are very interesting. I find it very interesting. He says Adhyavasayak Vidhi and Adhyayan. So Adhyavasayak Vidhi means the way of perseverance, and that itself is Adhyayan, and Adhyayan means study. So in Hindi, the word perseverance and study are very closely related. So yes, he says, so I got it through exploration, and everyone else now will, based on my experience, when I share it, they will be able to study what I have shared. They will be able to study what I live also as evidence. And through that, they will be able to, through that study and their perseverance, they will be able to comprehend what I am indicating towards, and also reach the same understanding. And then based on their own particular nature, their own particular situation and requirements, needs, they will evidence the same understanding in their particular way. So that is the way it will be taken forward by everyone else. And also he talks about how it is very important to recognize that the standard way that comprehension happens is that there will be someone who has understood, who has experienced and comprehended reality, and they will share and express their understanding. And through that expression, someone else will be able to study it, will be able to then therefore comprehend it, and also be able to then evidence it and express it in their own life. And then that becomes a chain. They will share it and someone else will comprehend it. It will not happen when someone is simply speaking without any experience, because it is not just words, it is an expression of experience. However, towards the end of the last section, he says, there are exceptional special cases in which someone might not have understood really something, and they are talking about it. They have not experienced it, yet they are talking about it in words. And so the listener happens to comprehend more than what is actually being expressed. And based on that, they also dedicate themselves to further exploring that topic. And then based on that exploration of their own, they get something. They attain some more knowledge. That is an exceptional case, and that is actually what happened in his case as well. He says that is what has also happened rarely though throughout history, and that is how we also move forward. But the standard model is that someone speaking, expressing based on their experience and understanding shares, and others comprehend. And then comprehend and then evidence and express for themselves. So that was the activity of comprehension. And he says once you comprehend, that is the first activity. And the comprehension is determination, sankalp, or another word for it is resolve. So what happens is, as soon as you comprehend, you become determined to evidence it. You become determined to evidence your understanding in your living. And this also happens, I mean, the part of experience actually was glossed over very quickly, I think, because it was just mentioned in combination, because actually once you have comprehension, then it is but a matter of time until you also experience. There's a very slight difference between it. I wonder if we'll go into it in the coming section. But yes, so there is comprehension, experience, and authenticity and determination. These 4 activities are the remaining activities that happen. So comprehension is of reality, and experience is of coexistence. And based on that, you have authenticity and the desire to evidence, and the determination to evidence. So this is
Understood.
what we had done yet.
Comprehension is saying it is expressed reality, which you understand. Like basically when you see someone who has comprehended living that comprehension in a way, then what you pick from that becomes your own study, and like you pick that, and then when you start evidencing, like you start living like that, and whatever knowledge you picked from someone's real living experience of seeing them, when you start applying it, you evidence it, and that's your comprehension, and then someone else will pick that from you. So basically comprehension is in a way visual experience, or not visual experience, but seeing someone's footsteps which made
Not just their
uh,
living action, also you'll also comprehend based on what they're sharing, communicating, expressing. So if the person's sharing, the person's communication, as well as the person's living are both indicating towards a
thing.
reality that exists. And
Mm.
when you combine, so their words are but the logic that is explaining their behavior, right? As we had discussed, there's the fundamental. I've seen that in the translation, they translated it as the existential level, the logical, and the behavioral level. So someone who understands is seeing the existential level and is embodying it in their behavior. So that is the behavioral level. But what they express through their words is the logic of it. So the listener or the student is hearing the logic, and that is indicating towards both the existential, and that is also explaining the behavioral. So in combination of these three, we as a student, we might be able to grasp the reality that it is indicating towards. And so that comprehension happens of the reality, and the behavior is an outcome of that. So for us, when we are viewing the behavior, that is also an indicator. The words are also an indicator. All of these are indicators towards an existential reality.
Mm. And this is part of Jeevan which we are not exercising as of now.
Yeah,
As okay.
yeah. So, but when we start engaging in this process of trying to see what is justice, so what are we? So, someone who's understood is living out their understanding. What will they live out? They will live out justice. They will be, in their interaction, they will be embodying justice. So, when we are watching them, and they're also sharing that, look, this is justice. This is what it is. This is the definition. These are the parts. These are the considerations. So, they're giving some logic to it also. So now we are listening to them and we are watching them. If we have a question about what is justice really, if we want to understand that, because that is how he said contemplation begins when you start exercising this perspective of justice in your being. So when we develop this question, okay, what is justice in this situation? What would justice be? What are values? Where is the mutual fulfillment here? And then to answer these questions, we look at what this person is doing. We listen to what they are saying and explaining. Then we will start, that is what starts out our contemplation. And as a consequence of our contemplation, slowly, slowly, we start comprehending the reality of these things. So that is how it works. So even today, this very moment, we can start doing that.
So basically, you're saying that step to open other aspects of comprehension and going further also is first cracking this or bringing it into a day-to-day practice of contemplation on terms of, and how you start contemplation is when you think of things and start weighing in terms of what is just.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Mm.
Quite accessible, no? Definitely.
Yeah. No, I think I really like also, I'm gonna like doable also this parameter of justice, and then uh what two things simple, try to see what is just here and is it reaching mutual fulfillment. So then gradually I think you get a very nice your inner scale also on your behavior, because sometimes we question, like we do best of our ability in terms of relationship, but still question, did I did right, where did I go wrong when things
Yeah.
don't go your way. So this I think is a good scale also, that was I just according to whatever
That's
evidence
exactly
you can get.
exactly what it is, because then you start weighing, evaluating yourself on or across the criteria of justice. Pehle also we ask ourselves, did I do the right thing? But our criteria is not justice because we haven't understood what justice is, even if we want the criteria to be justice. We end up thinking, oh, did we ensure their well-being? In the sense, did we ensure their health? Did we ensure their preference? Even when we're trying to think of justice. But now when we have some idea that justice is bigger than that, then we'll start thinking, okay, did I do the right thing? That means I'm evaluating, did I do the just thing? And for that, I'll need to think about, okay, then what is the just thing really? What is justice? And okay, then what are values? What are relationships? So these are the questions that emerge when you try to start evaluating your own actions, your own thoughts, and of course, others' actions and others' thoughts and situations along the lines of justice.
And according to what is being said here, justice will always lead to mutual fulfillment. No? Otherwise, it's not justice.
Yeah, the meaning of justice itself is mutual fulfillment. So justice means that there is a relationship in which values are flowing, and in that flow of values, there is a mutual evaluation and mutual fulfillment. That that entire thing is what justice means, or rather, the name given to all of these is justice.
And is it dependent on other person also then?
Well, mutual fulfillment, in the sense that mutual fulfillment would have to be mutual. But is it dependent on the other in the sense of whether it is possible or not without both parties having understood? In that case, as he had said, that any conflict situation arises only between more than one person. So if there is, so there will be a dispute when there are at least two parties going against each other. So if even one understands, or even if one's understanding encompasses the understanding of the other, then there will be no room for discord. Right? As we already experience with, when there is a difference in the level of understanding between two people, say between a teacher and a student, or between a parent and a child, we already see this happening. That when the parent is able to see where the child is lacking in their understanding, or why they're, behaving this way, what is causing their, this harmony in that situation, if they are able to understand it, they are able to encompass that consideration for their requirement, and then that sort of space for discord evaporates. So that is possible even among adults. The problem is that as adults, we are all equally, or in various ways, unable to understand each other. So even if one person's understanding grows, we will be able to encompass the requirements of the others also.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's a beautiful example of the parent and child, because what happens there's a significant difference in understanding, and there's also that sense of uh, I don't know what's the word, but maturity, in sense of like looking at someone as a child without telling them that I think of you as a child.
Hmm.
So then you operate from larger heart. But between adults, one is to maybe we think that I understand better than the other, but in reality, probably that gap is not very significant. That's almost like little bit. So,
Yeah.
and then you don't have that kind of a badappan also in your heart, big heartedness to look at other person, what they are doing with full understanding, like you would look at a child. And that's why it is dependent on that other person also. But if you grow enough, and
Yeah.
if the significant is difference is there in your understanding, then
Yeah.
it's independent of, because you'll be able to do justice to them and you without depending on their behavior, because you understand इनको नहीं,
Yeah.
like
No matter
whatever.
what they do, you will understand why they're doing it. And it's like if they're struggling to do what their needs are, at least you will not struggle with them. You will be able to help them reach where they are trying to reach in that sort of shaky way. So that is humanity. That is the significance of humanity. That is what we are capable of doing. Otherwise, trying to struggle with each other and finding some sort of temporary balance, rather compromise, sort of balance, mechanical compromise. That happens even in the animal world. If you look at animal behavior, especially chimp behavior. Actually, the movie Jane is a very interesting movie. It's based on Jane Goodall's life. It explores how this happens in the animal world among chimpanzees. So yeah, this is already happening in the animal world, but we humans are capable of more than that. And we've seen people actually behave this way also. But we don't understand how that happens. And if it happens, it's only happening in instances. So this is saying this is a capacity we need to work on.
Yeah. And is there more physical ways also to increase that capacity? Like, how if there's a dance and you keep practice, your muscles stretch and you become more flexible, right?
Right.
So I'm saying, is this all brain work, or there are other mediums also to increase your own capacity to understand? Because understanding happens in mind,
Yeah.
but
No, but you need a
is there
supportive.
aid to it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, understanding happens in the mind, but behavior happens with the body. So, if your body is not supporting you, or if your body is not capable of doing the things necessary to live out relationships, then it will be very difficult for you. Say every human being to live in a just society, every human being needs to be, working to support society's physical needs. If your body is incapable, or if you do not work to keep your body capable of doing that contribution, then you will be unable to contribute and do that, uh, service that is part of what being human and being productive and generous and compassionate involves. So, in that sense, of course, you need to, um, and generally living in order. So, any dance requires a definiteness of steps, right? Only then can we match each other. And a definiteness of steps in human behavior requires a definiteness in the human life. So that requires a certain sort of rhythm in our lives. And that is very much physical. So, if we have if we have a very disarrayed schedule, or if we have very haphazard habits, then it's going to be very difficult for us to encompass things or practices or interactions that are important to us, that we may feel are important to us, because we are not physically training ourselves to be able to do that, or we don't physically have time for that. Like, these are just examples that are coming to mind. But if we recognize the value of order in living out relationships with justice, I mean, actually, justice ke baad aata hai order, but this is also foundational for justice. If, say, if in the family you want to live out justice, but say no one is awake at the same time, some kisi ke working hours are at one point in the day and someone else is the other, and we're all just our schedules just don't match. Then when will we get the time to actually sit together, get to know each other, spend time with each other, work together? So these are all very physical considerations. So finding order in our physical living is very important for justice also. There'll probably be more. This is just what is coming to my mind right now. Okay. Should we resume? Okay. So today we're starting 9. This section is called Astitva Darshan, which is so there were 3 types, the 3 knowledges, the 3 kinds of understanding that we must work towards. The first is understanding the knowledge of the Jeevan. Then there's the knowledge of existence. And this knowledge of existence is called Astitva Darshan Gyan, or a knowledge of a holistic view of existence. The knowledge of a holistic view of existence. Darshan means the view, a full view. So you see existence as it is. That is what this is all about. And of course, the third one was Manviyatapurn Acharan Gyan, so the knowledge of humane conduct, which is the next section.
No audio.
No audio?
Can't hear you.
Oh,
Manjuji?
I think I might not have selected that option. Now?
पहले हम साधारण रूप में यही शुरू करते हैं, पहले अस्तित्व को ही समझते हैं।
First, in a very ordinary way, we start here itself. First, we generally understand existence.
अस्तित्व की एक सामान्य रूपरेखा समझ लेते हैं।
Let us understand a very ordinary outline of what existence is like.
तो अस्तित्व स्वयं में सह अस्तित्व है।
So, existence is itself coexistence.
ये बात समझ में आ गई है।
This is something we already understood.
क्योंकि सत्ता में संपर्क प्रकृति ही संपूर्ण अस्तित्व है।
Because nature saturated in space or in potence is itself the entirety of existence. This is familiar already, no?
प्रकृति अपने में एक एक के रूप में गिनने योग्य वस्तु है, गिनने वाला मनुष्य है।
So nature in itself is the entities that can be counted as units, one by one. The one who counts, of course, is the human being. But nature is that which is those entities that can be counted one by one, units. So actually, I mean, he's going to talk about space. I'm not sure. It's been a while since we discussed space. But I'm not sure. Was I using the word potence earlier? Yes or no? I don't know. No?
No, I don't think so. You used the word potence.
Okay.
I also don't remember hearing that word.
Okay. Sorry. So satta is a word used for space. That Baba has been using for space. Space, if you were to translate it into English, would be emptiness, or the sorry, would be, yeah. Space in Hindi means khali sthan, shunya, or emptiness. So that is also the same thing. But the word he uses most commonly for it is satta, which is the literal meaning of that is potence. Or it's something to do with power, because it's the fundamental power. So there is satta and satta mayata, which is satta is space or potence, and satta mayata is to be in space or potency. So these are other translations for it. So in the I mean, I can continue using space actually, but when he says satta, he means potence, because it's relevant, because the meaning is that nature is saturated in potence, and therefore it is potent, therefore it is empowered. That is why it is active. That is why it is energized. So satta mein prakriti means nature saturated in potence, in power. So that is the significance of this statement. But to keep it easier, we generally just say nature saturated in space.
And
Because
potence is potential, the root, same word, right?
potence comes from like power. I think potential also comes from the word potence, because it has the potential for power.
Mm.
But yeah, same root.
Like, yeah, I'm just trying to understand the word potence here. Like, potence is also like possibility in a way. Like
Yeah.
how, so that's what you mean by potence also here, na? Space is like I'm struggling actually. Would you like to give
So
more?
potent, the root word is
Uh,
potent. Potent means
Mm.
power, right? From that comes the word potence, which means that which has power, influence, or effect.
Doesn't potent means a possible ability or
Ability, yeah.
possibility
Not
ability?
possibility, it means ability, or an ability comes from power. That's the root word actually. So, it comes from, so I've just opened the etymology. It comes from the verb posse. And posse is also to have power, to have sway, to have influence. And satta also, when we say ki this so and so government is in satta, we say it is in power. So that is why I actually like to use that word, because they both mean the same thing. They mean power or influence or sway. So potent, potential even comes from this root word which means power.
Okay. So we are saying space is equivalent to potence.
Yeah. So what we call space, or what we think of, so when we think of space, we just think of emptiness. But he's saying, no, this emptiness is not just empty space. This thing which we think of as emptiness is actually something called potence, which is something called satta, which is the ultimate power. That's what will be discussed. But I just wanted to clear up it'll be discussed further. I want to clear up the vocabulary. I think to keep it clear, maybe instead of space, I'll start using potence only, because then we'll get used to it.
Okay.
अपने में एक एक के रूप में गिनने योग्य वस्तु है, गिनने वाला मनुष्य है। गिनने वाला मनुष्य है। एक एक के रूप में गिनने योग्य वस्तु क्या चीज है? सारा प्रकृति है। एक एक के रूप में गिन।
So, what is it? It is, nature is the entity that can be counted one by one in a unitary fashion. And who is the one who is counting? The only one counting is human.
गिनने योग्य वस्तु क्या चीज है? सारा प्रकृति है। एक
So what is it that is capable of being counted unitarily? All of nature. All of nature is that which is capable of being counted one by one as units.
एक के रूप में गिना जा सकता है, जैसा एक धरती, दो धरती, चार धरती, हजार धरती, अनंत धरती।
Such as 1 planet, 2 planets, 3 planets, 1,000 planets, innumerable planets.
एक परमाणु, दो परमाणु, 10 परमाणु, अनंत परमाणु।
1 atom, 2 atoms, 10 atoms, innumerable atoms.
ठीक है।
All
तो
right.
एक परमाणु अंश, दो परमाणु अंश, अनेक परमाणु अंश।
So 1 subatomic particle, 2 subatomic particles, 10 subatomic particles, innumerable subatomic particles.
इस प्रकार की हम गिनतियां करने की बात है। उसके बाद जो है ना,
So in this way, we are talking about counting or countability.
एक धातु, दो धातु, अनेक धातु, एक।
And after this,
उसके बाद जो है ना, एक धातु, दो धातु, अनेक धातु,
1 element, 2 elements, multiple elements.
एक मट्टी, एक प्रकार की मिट्टी, दो प्रकार की मिट्टी, अनेक प्रकार की मिट्टी।
1 type of soil, 2 types of soil, multiple types of soil.
उसी प्रकार पत्थर, उसी प्रकार मणि, इन
In the same way stones, in the same way gems.
सबको 1, 2, 3, 4 गिनते ही है। ठीक है। तो इस ढंग से हमको संख्या गिनने की बात है।
In the same way, we count them as 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this way, we are talking about countability, counting in terms of numbers.
मनुष्य ही गिनती करता है,
It is only humans who count.
दूसरा कोई करता नहीं।
No one else does it.
गिनती करता है आदमी। जो गिनने योग्य वस्तु जितने भी है, ये सब प्रकृति है।
So the one who counts is only human, and all the things that are capable of being counted are all nature.
जड़ प्रकृति है, माने
Now he says Jad Prakriti. I can't remember how I translated. Jad Prakriti would be insentient matter.
जड़ चैतन्य प्रकृति जो कुछ भी है, ये सब गिनने योग्य है।
Then he says, so this insentient and conscious matter, whatever there may be, these are all capable of being counted.
एक जीवन, दो जीवन, 10 जीवन, करोड़ जीवन, अरबों जीवन, ये हम गिन ही सकते हैं।
So 1 Jeevan, 2 Jeevan, 10 Jeevans, crore Jeevans, a million Jeevans, a billion Jeevans. we can always count these.
ठीक है, गिनने योग्य वस्तुएं।
So these are capable
अब
of counting.
जो
Countable.
ऐसे जीवन, अनेक जीवन हैं, तो बड़े बड़े बूढ़े छोटे बड़े सब में हैं। ऐसे जीवन की महिमा के बारे में बताया, समानता की मुद्दे बताया कि हर जीवन में, हर मनुष्य के जीवन में तो चारों मुद्दा समान है, अक्षय बल।
So regarding such jivans, that those which exist in older, elderly people and children alike, we have talked about them. And regarding them, we shared how there are these 4 aspects of, in these jivans that are all alike, that are equivalent, that are equal, the same. That is,
हर जीवन में, हर मनुष्य के जीवन में तो चारों मुद्दा समान है, अक्षय बल, अक्षय शक्ति, गठन पूर्णता। ठीक है, तो गठन पूर्ण परमाणु चैतन्य इकाई के रूप में समान है, अक्षय बल अक्षय शक्ति के रूप में समान है, लक्ष्य के रूप में समान।
and in each jivan, in each human jivan, we discussed how 4 topics are the same or equal, which are inexhaustible power, inexhaustible force, and then there was configurational completeness. That is, that each jivan is a configurationally complete atom in the same exact way. And then the 4th was they all have the same goals.
सभी जीवन, सभी मानव जीवन सुखी होना चाहते हैं। ठीक है,
Which is that all jivans, all human jivans wish to be happy. Okay.
सुखी कैसा होगा बोले? समझदारी से सुखी, ना समझी से दुखी। क्या सूत्र निकला?
And when asked how will they be happy, then they will be happy through understanding and unhappy through lack of understanding. So it is as simple as that.
छोटा सा सूत्र, समझदारी से सुखी, ना समझी से दुखी।
This tiny principle is that understanding leads to happiness and lack of understanding leads to unhappiness.
छोटा सा काम।
This
तो अभी
small
तक
task.
सारा संसार ये जूझता रहा, एक बार जूझता रहा कि तुम तप करोगे, योग करोगे और सन्यासी हो जाओगे, साधु हो जाओगे, तब सुखी हो जाएंगे। ठीक है ना भाई?
So this is something that all the world has been struggling through and has come up with various solutions. They've proposed that, oh, if you do penance and and if you become an ascetic, then you will become happy.
योग करोगे और सन्यासी हो जाओगे, साधु हो जाओगे, तब सुखी हो जाएंगे। ठीक है ना भाई? अच्छी बात है, उसको भी लोग प्रयोग किए।
Okay, so they said this, and maybe it's a good thing, and people have also tried that out.
कुछ प्रमाण मिला नहीं, और उसके बाद
But no evidence was found. And then after that,
दूसरा बार ये जूझे कि भाई खूब वस्तु को इकट्ठा कर ले, सुखी हो जाओगे।
the second time we struggled with the proposal that if we accumulate a lot of wealth or with a lot of goods, then we'll become happy.
उसके लिए भी आदमी जूझा, उसमें भी कोई सुखी नहीं हुआ।
For that also humans have struggled, and in that also no one was happy.
ये दोनों सुखी ना होने की बात सोचने की बात आता ही है। उसी सोचने की क्रम में आई समझदारी से आदमी सुखी।
So after struggling through both of these, humans were not happy, and then of course it beckons us to think, and after that arises the answer that understanding leads to happiness.
आता ही है, उसी सोचने की क्रम में आई समझदारी से आदमी सुखी। ठीक है, ना समझी से दुखी, समझदारी से सही, सही में हम सब एक हैं।
So that thinking leads to the answer that understanding leads to happiness and lack of understanding leads to unhappiness. And
ना
understanding,
समझी से दुखी, समझदारी से सही, सही में हम सब एक हैं, और ना समझी से गलती, गलती में हम सब अनेक हैं।
and understanding leads to correctness, and we are all the same in the right correctness, whereas lack of understanding leads to incorrectness. And of course, we are all um, multiplice, or what was the phrase? We are united in the right, and we are multiple or fragmented in the wrong.
एक दूसरे को सम्मत होते ही नहीं।
So we will never be able to convince each other.
आपका गलती से हम सम्मत हो जाए, मेरे गलती से आप सम्मत हो जाए, ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है।
So you become, you agree to my mistake and I agree to your mistake. That is not possible. That is why we are fragmented in mistakes and in the wrong.
ठीक है, तो गलती है तो गलती है, आपके लिए भी है, मेरे लिए भी है, इनके लिए भी, इनके लिए भी, ऐसी बात है। इसीलिए हम गलती में आने का।
So if it is a mistake, it is a mistake. It's a mistake for me also, it is a mistake for you also, for the third person also. And therefore, what did you say?
वे इनके लिए भी, इनके लिए भी, ऐसी बात है। इसीलिए हम गलती में आने का।
इसलिए आप गलती पे जानते,
इसलिए हम गलती में अनेक है, multiple, so many mistakes.
And so okay. So therefore we are multiple, or separate in disjointed and disunited. What's the word? In the wrong, in mistakes.
ठीक है, सही में हम ये कही, ये बात हमको समझ में आ गई।
Whereas in the right, we are united, we are one. This is the point.
गई वो समझदारी से ही हमारा ये कल्याण मार्ग प्रशस्त होता है, समझदारी से सुखी होते हैं।
So it is only through understanding that the path to our welfare becomes illuminated. It is only through understanding that we can get there.
ये कल्याण मार्ग प्रशस्त होता है, समझदारी से सुखी होते हैं, समझदारी से ही समृद्ध होते हैं,
and it is only through understanding that we can be prosperous.
समझदारी से ही वर्तमान में व्यवस्था के रूप में जीते हैं।
It is only through understanding that we can live in the present in an orderly way.
समझदारी से ही सह अस्तित्व को प्रमाणित करते हैं।
And it is only through understanding that we can evidence coexistence.
सुख का चार पैर, समाधान, समृद्धि, अभय, सह अस्तित्व।
The four feet of happiness are resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence. And again, he actually explains what this fearlessness is. Fearlessness is confidence in the present, which is confidence in relationships or just relationships, which is confidence in living in the present in an orderly way. So that is what he means by fearlessness.
ये चार चीज आता है तो हम सब सुखी हो गए, चार चीज नहीं आता है उसके लिए प्रयत्न जारी।
So when these four things exist, that means we are happy. When these four are absent, then we are unhappy, and then we will attempt, and then we will work towards these.
वो प्रयत्न के क्रम में ही हम तमाम पूजा पाठ योग जग तप सब कर डाले।
And it is in the course of such attempts that we have gone about doing all sorts of our prayer, worships, penance, asceticism, all such things that we have done was all in course of such attempts to reach resolution, prosperity, fearlessness, and coexistence.
उसी क्रम में बहुत सारी चीज इकट्ठा भी किया, सब कुछ किए भी, सकल कर्म किए, हो गया, खत्म हो गया बात।
And in the very course of attempts, we've also accumulated all sorts of things in our lives. We've accumulated all sorts of goods and wealth. Sakal karm. Do you know what sakal karm is?
No, I was going to ask you.
It's a familiar phrase. I've heard it in certain context, but I have no idea what it means. Oh, sakal is like all, samast. All the things that we have done.
तो अब क्या करना है? अब ये करना है, हम समझदार होने की काम करना। इन दोनों बात से हुआ नहीं, सब सुखी हो गए, हुए नहीं। कोई मान भी ले हमारे पास बहुत है, ये दूसरा आदमी बोलता है बहुत सुखी है, वो खुद रोता है, हम दुखी।
So what do we have to do? We must understand, because both these methods didn't lead us to happiness. If someone says that I have a lot of things and I am happy, they themselves are not unhappy, they themselves cry even later on.
हमारे पास बहुत है, ये दूसरा आदमी बोलता है बहुत सुखी है, वो
Sorry. Let me repeat that. Do that again.
कोई मान भी ले, हमारे पास बहुत है, ये दूसरा आदमी बोलता है
कोई क्या मिले, कोई मार मिले, कोई मान मिले.
Saying
कि
if
होगे
someone
हुए
even agrees, I have enough. कोई मान भी ले कि हमारे पास बहुत है.
Even if someone believes that I have a lot, I have enough, and someone else feels that they are very happy.
कोई मान भी ले, हमारे पास बहुत है, ये दूसरा आदमी बोलता है बहुत सुखी है, वो खुद रोता है हम दुखी हैं, इस ढंग की काम.
So even if someone believes that I have enough and other people believe that he is very happy, he himself actually cries. He himself is unhappy. The person who seems to think that they have enough and accumulated enough.
तो इसी को यदि अपन सटीक सर्वे करके तैयार करते हैं, तब अपने को ये बुद्धि में सद्बुद्धि में उपजता है. इसका कोई सही इलाज होना चाहिए, सभी सुखी हो जाए, सभी.
So when we do a sort of exact survey of this phenomenon, of this situation, then it will occur to us, if we have sadbuddhi, if we have good sense, that there needs to be a solution to this. There needs to be a solution to this which will address everyone's needs.
में उपजता है, इसका कोई सही इलाज होना चाहिए, सभी सुखी हो जाए. सभी सुखी होने के लिए समझदारी है, समझदारी को सब में पहुंचाया जा सकता है.
So then it will occur when we do such an exact definitive survey, we will recognize it's a universal problem, and it will occur to us that if we have good sense, that there needs to be a solution to this so that everyone can be happy. And how can everyone be happy? Everyone can be happy through understanding. And for understanding, we need to share understanding.
सभी सुखी हो जाए, सभी सुखी होने के लिए समझदारी है, समझदारी को सब में पहुंचाया जा सकता है.
So for happiness, we need understanding, and understanding can be delivered to everyone. It can be made accessible to everyone.
समझदार होते हैं, सुखी हो जाते हैं, इतना ही काम है.
As soon as we become knowledgeable, we become happy. That is all that it is.
ठीक है. समझदारी के लिए पहला घाट क्या है? अस्तित्व. अस्तित्व को हम यदि समझने जाते हैं, 4 अवस्था में अस्तित्व है.
All right. So the first milestone for understanding is existence. And in existence, there are 4, when we go about understanding existence, there are 4 orders in existence.
अस्तित्व को हम यदि समझने जाते हैं, 4 अवस्था में अस्तित्व है. इस धरती में प्रमाणित है.
And these are evidenced on this planet.
पदार्थावस्था में प्रकृति प्रमाणित है. पदार्थावस्था में जितने भी मृत पाषाण मणि धातुएं हैं, ये सब पदार्थावस्था में गण्य है. ये सब प्रमाणित ही है अपने अपने.
So the planet is already evidenced in the material order. In the material order, all the gems and elements, metals that need to be present on this planet are all
ये सब पदार्थावस्था में गण्य है. ये सब प्रमाणित ही है अपने अपने आचरण में.
all the metals and gems, etc., that are counted within the material order, all of those are evidenced on this planet in their own conducts. They are definite.
और प्राणावस्था, जो झाड़ वृक्ष पौधे, ये सब औषधियां, ये सब अपने आचरणों से वो स्वयं प्रमाणित है.
Then there is the biological order, that is all the shrubs, trees, plants, and all these medicines that exist. These are all also evidenced in their own conducts.
सारा जीवावस्था, जो मनुष्य को छोड़ करके बाकी जीव संसार है, ये भी अपने त्वसहित व्यवस्था के रूप में प्रमाणित है.
all the animal order, that is, all the animals besides human beings, are also evidenced as um, orders with their own uniqueness. So each animal is an orderly system with its own uniqueness. Tva sahit vyavastha. This tva is uniqueness, or its particularity. That is a very important concept, notion that will come up again and again.
बाकी जीव संसार है, ये भी अपने त्वासहित व्यवस्था के रूप में प्रमाणित है।
So this animal world is also evidenced as an order with its own uniqueness.
और मनुष्य ही है त्वासहित व्यवस्था के रूप में होने में अभी प्रतीक्षित है।
And then there are humans that are that for, and then there are humans who, for their evidence of their orderliness with their uniqueness, is as yet awaited. So for humans to evidence their orderliness with their uniqueness is still awaited.
अब बोलिए सर, सबसे विकसित पद, सबसे पीछे की कथा।
So now, what do we say? The most evolved stature and lagging the furthest behind.
क्या मतलब है इसका?
What does this mean?
दुखी नहीं होगा तो क्या होगा भाई?
If we won't, then naturally, if we won't be happy, then what will we be?
विकसित पद और मैंने उसका जो सबसे पीछे की चरित्र,
The most evolved status and yet the most deficient character.
ठीक है ना? पीछे की चरित्र सबसे ज्यादा विकसित,
The deficient character and most evolved.
इस ढंग से क्या होगा?
In this way, what will happen?
ठीक है, तो हमारा चरित्र भी विकसित के अनुरूप होने की आवश्यकता।
So in this way, what will happen? So our character also needs to be evolved to match our status.
क्योंकि व्यवस्था जो प्रमाणित होती है हर इकाई में, चाहे पदार्थावस्था हो, प्राणावस्था हो, जीवावस्था हो, ज्ञानावस्था हो, उनके चरित्र के अनुसार ही प्रमाणित होते हैं।
Because whenever orderliness is evidenced, whether it be the material order or the plant biological order, animal order, or the knowledge order, it evidences itself in terms of its character.
और कुछ होते भी नहीं, उसको दूसरा भाषा दे सकता है, आचरण।
And there is no other way that it is evident. You can give it another word or another language in other words, you can say that it is in terms of its conduct. Its character is its conduct.
आचरण के रूप में हर वस्तु अपने व्यवस्था को प्रमाणित करते हैं।
So it is in the form of conduct that each entity evidences its orderliness.
वैसे मानव भी अपने आचरण के अनुसार प्रमाणित करेगा, छोटा सा का।
Similarly, humans will also evidence in accordance with their conduct. This is a tiny little task for us.
ठीक है, ये अपने को एक सूत्र मिलता है।
Okay, this is the principle that we find. Okay, should we pause here? It's 7:36.
Yeah.
Okay, he's just getting into it, so I guess tomorrow we can continue.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.